iPad. But did you know that the Bakersfield Californian is available on your Kindle Fire? Or how about Google's Nexus 7, the Nook? You bet. You can also read a full replica of the newspaper on your Android-powered smartphone, on Apple's iPhone, or on your laptop. We have a solution for any device. E-Edition is free for subscribers, or just $7.99 a month. The Bakersfield Californian. We're everywhere and anytime. Subscribe today. Bakersfield.com.
And now, from the Dignity Health Studio at the Bakersfield Californian, it's time to open up with Dawn and Tina, your favorite pair, on the air.
Hello, world. I am Tina, and this is Dawn, and welcome to Open Up.
You bet. You know, let me tell you something. This is live television, so you really never know what's going to happen on live television, no matter how well you plan. So we have planned to have two very special guests here, and guess what? They're not here. So, but you know, sometimes those unexpected things that happen in your life turn out to be for the very best, right? How many times did that happen to you? And I think that's true this morning, because you have never really gotten to meet my co-host. I mean, we're here and we interview people, but she's such a lovely lady and so dynamic in it. But there's so much about this woman that I want the world to know. And so we're going to talk about that. But before we do that, I want to tell all you folks from Bakersfield, I was driving home last night. I live out in the country, and I was listening to the 800 AM radio station, 24-hour comedy.
Oh, okay.
And Ron White came on, Blue Collar Humor. You know, he's always a little raunchy, but Ron White comes on, and he was down in Texas. And so he opens his remarks to the crowd down in Texas by saying, I was in Bakersfield, California last night.
Oh.
And then he says, and you think you're stupid.
Ooh.
That was the punchline. That's all there was to that. And you think you're stupid.
Oh, I don't like that.
So what I'm suggesting is, let's never again be stupid enough to buy any tickets to a Ron White concert. That's my
Here.
That's my answer to Ron White, and I hope this word goes out to him. So anyway.
Yeah, I've never heard of him before.
Oh yeah, well,
and I don't want to hear.
Okay, all right. Drink in one hand and raunchy jokes in the other. Ron White. So there you go. So now be forewarned.
Yes.
Tina Miller. Tina, first of all, you're not from the West Coast. You're not from Bakersfield. You come from a completely different part of the country. So tell us about that, your upbringing, your family.
Well, I was born into a family of 9, 4 brothers and 5 sisters. And anyway, I am number 8.
So you never lack for clothes or activities, right?
Actually, no, because for some reason, you know, what I had just kept and stayed with me, kind of like remaining for the 40 years in the wilderness, not going. Anyway, no, I didn't like too much for clothing. Food, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And then on to school. Take us through a bit of your schooling.
Oh, schooling. Well, I am a 12th grade graduate, but going through my local schooling there in the South Carolina area, I was just a little small. I was probably the smallest in my class, always. And
Shortest
and small in stature, the size, weight as well. And but I loved going to school. Didn't want to miss a day. As a matter of fact, when I was younger and the school bus would come by to pick us up, if I was just waking up and they were saying the school bus is on its way down the street, I would just jump out of bed and run, just putting on clothes, whatever I had, and going, if my hair was sticking on top of my head or just wild and crazy, I had to get to school.
What was the excitement and the enthusiasm for you from that? So recess wasn't your favorite time of school, was it?
No, it was. I suppose being there, among other people. I love people, and I love to, screen good things from people's lives and add it to mine. And but at that young age, I didn't realize or understand that. I just wanted to go to school to be around other people and, just the joy of being around other people.
I've often said about Tina Miller, and you will find this true as our show goes on and you get to see her interact with people. But I've always said, I don't know anyone who gets more out of life, who gets their money's worth out of life every minute they're living than Tina Miller. I mean, you are just always drawing the best and giving out the best. That's just a core part of your character, Tina.
Don, I'm so glad that you recognize that because you actually helped me to see that and recognize and understand that, that's what I'm doing. I love joy. I love to just, in coming in contact with someone, having a great time, enjoying what that time is.
Yeah.
And so I like how you describe it as getting my money's worth out of life. So,
You do. So school, you love school, and then it's the military. And now you have years in the military. Tell us about your service with Uncle Sam.
Wow, Uncle Sam. Make me think of Uncle's barbecue. But
Who's not here? All right.
yes. Well, my brother was the first out of my family in the military. He was in the Army. And my brother was the model of our family. We all loved him, and everyone wanted to be like him, even the neighborhood. And so I wanted to be like my brother so much so I wanted to join the Army. And but the Army didn't take me, and I'm so glad the Navy did.
Why in the world would the Army not take Tina Miller?
Well, for some reason they had something like a buddy program or buddy system or something of that nature, and the person I was going in with, something was going on. So anyway, I've totally forgotten about that, and I forgive the Army.
All right. So it's the Navy.
Yes, it's the Navy. And I went to the AFES station. This is where they process you into the military. And I saw the women actually walking around in these beautiful skirts and white crisp shirt with a tie. And oh, did I like that? And that's what I wanted to look like and represent the Navy in.
Where did you serve?
Well, my first training actually was in Orlando, Florida, the boot camp. And then I went to...
That's sort of landlocked, but...
Yes, but I went to Mississippi for a couple of months of school, schooling there, and I was a storekeeper. And this is the person who... buys all the supplies and things for the ship and or the station. And so in Mississippi, got a little bit of training there in Meridian, Mississippi. And then from there, I went to, was it Key West, Florida or Augsburg, West Germany? Excuse me. I think it was Augsburg, West Germany from there for 2 years. No, I apologize, Don. I went to Key West, Florida.
Okay.
Yes, went to Key West, Florida, and you can see I haven't talked about my Navy time for a while,
Right.
but for 2 years there, I was with a naval intelligence training facility.
All right.
And then my job, I was on staff, and we were training all the students that were coming in for the intelligence school.
Did that require any kind of top secret clearance?
Ooh, yes.
How
yes,
high did
yes.
you go in those levels?
That's special background investigation, and
Okay.
so they went went to your hometown and check out.
So there's a lot of things you can't tell me, right?
Don, I can tell you some things,
All right.
but behind the scenes.
All right. Let me ask this question. This is Open Up, and things
Yes,
that we've been
Open
through.
Up.
And so many, a troubling number of women in our military have had difficult experiences with sexual advances, sexual assaults, anything like that. I'm asking.
Okay, Don. Yeah. Anything like that, I'm asking. Yes, Don, actually, it's it's the military, and unfortunately, it's there. And yes, I faced some things. And,
How did you handle that?
well, I actually, Don, that's a long story. I don't think a minute can tell you all of this.
Well, we've got the next segment to go. I don't want to go where you don't want to go. But is
but
this
is
something
open up. I don't mind opening
because
up.
this is important.
But-
We've got young women here going to our
Yeah.
academies, going into the military. Why don't we save that when we come back from the break?
Yes, and let me just say this quickly then. What I would say about that right now is just tell the truth and face the truth.
Take it right up to command.
Yes. And
what happens if you're ignored, shunted aside? Stand your ground?
Yes, stand your ground, keep trying, don't give up, don't give out, and don't give in.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that kind of sums it all up. All right. Now, when
Yes.
we come back, after the Navy, now we go to the White House. So under two presidents. So we're going to get to hear some insights on some of our presidents, and then on to Hollywood in a very interesting way.
Wow.
So
Don, you're really taking me there.
a fascinating life here that we're talking about. I'm so glad that this kind of worked out there, that you can all meet her and really get to know her. And we'll be right back. 1 minute.
We get discounts for having our homeowners and our vehicle insured with them.
And we get a multiple car discount for having, and we also have a security system. We get a discount for having that.
We put our house and our cars together and our trailer.
We get the discount for not having car accidents.
We've been very happy, very satisfied with the discount rate that they give to us.
Low rates with the local advantage. That's Personal Express.
Hi, Corey Costello here, host of Roadrunner Rundown, the official program of CSUB Athletics, Tuesday at 10 a.m. right here on Bakersfield.com. Hey, join us this week. We'll speak with our new men's soccer coach, Richie Grant. Also, a Corey Versus, back with the track and field team, but this time I try to redeem my inability of throwing the hammer by throwing the discus. Plus, another men's basketball home week against Chicago State and Kansas City. We'll have a fresh Behind Enemy Lines segment as well. Tuesday, 10 a.m. right here on Bakersfield.com.
Introducing TBC Mobile from the Bakersfield, California. The most complete news, sports, weather, video, opinion, and lifestyle coverage in Bakersfield and Kern County. It's the easiest way to stay up to date on all things local while on the go. Read it on your smartphone or tablet. Download now by searching Bakersfield Californian in the Apple, Google, and Amazon app stores.
The Bakersfield Californian is a great read on the iPad, but did you know that the Bakersfield Californian is available on your Kindle Fire? Or how about Google's Nexus 7, the Nook? You bet. You can also read a full replica of the newspaper on your Android-powered smartphone, on Apple's iPhone, or on your laptop. We have a solution for any device. E-Edition is free for subscribers, or just $7.99 a month. The Bakersfield Californian. We're everywhere and anytime. Subscribe today. Bakersfield.com.
I'm Lisa Kirsch. Coming up next week on Live Well, we will have the latest health, beauty, lifestyle, and community trends for you, including details of the very first Bakersfield Marathon, training, event details, would you like to volunteer? Plus, the staff of Live Well may be taking part. We'll tell you more about that. Be sure to join us every Wednesday on Bakersfield.com for Live Well.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone. This is Open Up with Dawn and Tina, and Dawn has me on the grill opening up. I'm loving it.
Listen, those of you who have just tuned in, here's the deal. Live television, two guests we were expecting, they're not here. So,
Yeah.
but one of those serendipities in life where something I've been wanting to do. I've been wanting you to know more about Tina Miller, this remarkable woman who's my co-host, and I'm just so privileged to sit here on this set with you. Tina, as you've heard, a rich family life from a family of 9 in South Carolina, then on into the Navy, a very varied experience in the Navy, and then, Tina, somehow you got to the White House. Tell us about that.
Don, let me say this first. You say from a rich family. I want
rich family, back not wealth, but
yes, rich as in the number of siblings. Yes,
well as and is in the quality of family life.
Oh yes, okay. So. Well, thank you. And so, but yeah, that was a time, in growing up, we were so less fortunate in so many ways. But on to the White House. I was in the Navy Reserves, and
this is after your tour. Then you go into the reserves.
Yes, yes. Right. After my active duty, 10 years, I went into the Navy Reserves, active for 2 years. And during that time in the Washington, D.C. area, I am working with a group of engineers with the CBs. And some of them are working for, they are actually contractors to the White House.
All right.
And so they invited me, one of them invited me to come down and interview with their company to be a contractor to the White House. And so anyway, at that time, though, I was a White House telephone operator and also a reservist. And so under the Bush administration, Bush 41, and I was excited about being a White House telephone operator, sitting high, shoulders back, in a way that, representing the White House. And
how would you answer the phone each day?
Good morning, White House. Good afternoon, White House. And no, the president is not available. May I put you through to the White House Inquiries Office, please? And so on. So anyway, from the White House telephone operator's position, the other office that were contractors to the White House asked me to come over. And actually, they presented a very, very nice offer to me. And so I said goodbye to my White House telephone operator's position and moved over as a contractor to the White House. And so that lasted through the 2 administrations, Bush 41 and then Bill Clinton, the Clinton administration.
Now,
4 years.
Some of those presidents used to come down and say hello to you, did they
not? Yes. Actually, President Reagan, every time he would visit the White House, he would always ask to visit the telephone operators. And what an exciting thing, to be sitting there and President Reagan walking in to greet us personally. But on his way there, he would be stopped by so many other workers along the way. And but we get personal FaceTime with him.
Tina, ever any threatening phone calls, any crank phone calls that you had to deal with, and how did you deal with those?
Yes, Don. We did get a number of those, and while we're sitting on the board, we had the old switchboard where it goes over your ear and you plug it in like so. And, I remember one call when the guy called and he would threaten to come blow up the White House. And but Secret Service was always at hand to take care of matters like that. And so we had instant access to them.
Did you have the ability to trace back where those calls came from?
Oh, excuse me.
And
actually, they
okay.
They had that, and we had control of the calls because of that old switchboard. You could put it on hold, and
right.
and as long as the light's still blinking, you still have them, and you had really good control over the call. But when they changed telephones, they went over to these big Merlin phones. Once you release a call, it's gone, and you can't get it back. But as long as the old switchboard was in place, you had control over that call.
Interesting. Better the old way than the new way in terms of detecting threats.
Yes. And actually, and then we had one woman used to call often, and as soon as you open the line, "Good morning, White House," she would start screaming. And I mean, that can be hard on the ear. She'd start screaming and just saying all kinds of things. And then, of course, someone like that who you can't reason with, there was a certain thing to do with them, and that is just put her on hold and letting her talk or just disconnecting altogether. I had one call where someone wanted to fly their planes, told me he wanted to fly his plane over and do some things to the White House. And boy, did that really sound real to me. So immediately I plugged right into Secret Service. And then they handled that because we are the telephone operators. We are just there taking the incoming calls. We actually don't take messages for the president. Some people even think we're sitting right next to the president, tell the president this and tell him that, And so, he's not sitting right next to us, but that was very interesting.
You're actually considering a book.
Yes.
Hello, White House. That'd be good. Tina,
yes.
Now you got to work in the at the Clinton White House. Actually, you got a little closer to the president in that regard.
Yes.
And the Clinton White House has been described as a pretty chaotic bull session party environment. Anything you care to share? I know that you're discreet about these things, but what can you share? What can you open up with us about?
Don, would you like to read my book? No, actually, I'm not putting anything in the book that's going to be hurtful or harmful to anyone or saying anything negative. It's not about digging up dirt on anyone, but just sharing my life experience. But yes, there's a difference in, there are some people that are very organized and they have things, organized down to the last penny or paper. And then there are some that are not. And but they function well and so on and so forth.
Very discreet. Very discreet. Okay, so here we are at the White House, and then suddenly, here comes Hollywood to the White House, and you happen to meet one of Hollywood's leading stars, and that brings you out to Hollywood. Tell us about that.
Yes, Don. It's to some people almost unbelievable the different areas and places I've been, but from one extreme, to the other, on the political side, and then all the way in Hollywood, but. One particular season, I think during the winter seasons, there was a restaurant being opened in the Washington, D.C. area. And so a lot of celebrities were converging on coming into Washington, D.C., and they wanted to visit the White House. And so I was asked to introduce some of them to the president at the time on the South Lawn when he is going away in the helicopter. And one of the people happened to be, well, actually, let me back up for a minute. I got word that, what's his name, Al Pacino was coming to the White House, one of the ones. And I wanted to meet Al Pacino. Al, if you're listening, Al Pacino, okay, come on to Bakersfield.
Our number is?
Our number is 661-395-7386. So anyway, so I wanted to meet Al Pacino because I had word that, he was coming, and along with Bruce Willis. Hi, Bruce. And Sharon Stone and others. But so when I went, Al Pacino wasn't there. Sharon Stone was not there. Bruce Willis, Demi Moore, and some others. But Sharon Stone's sister was there. And so I got to introduce her to the president, President Bill Clinton, and a couple of friends she had along with her. And we became instant friends, and she was jetting out to D.C. on weekends. I would jet to Los Angeles back and forth at different times. And so she met some friends of mine at the White House. I would meet friends in Hollywood. And so anyway, that's how I met her sister, Sharon Stone. And in some time during the meeting, the course of meeting her, and she invited me to come out to work for her as her personal assistant and helping with the movies and personal assistant, doing personal things for her, going shopping, grocery shopping, clothes, whatever. Yes, and so anyway, that kind of thing, and we were just loving life, visiting with each other from coast to coast. And so I worked for her as her personal assistant for actually 6 months before I got involved with another. Actually, it was a church ministry. They were feeding the homeless people downtown Los Angeles.
Oh, that is an extreme.
Oh yes, Don.
From the heights of Hollywood to the streets of L.A. and the homeless.
Yes,
Listen,
very
hon,
satisfying.
We're running out of time for this segment.
Yes.
And I think we'll take a break from this. But you can see why we were sitting around at an anniversary party one time. People were talking about Tina, and I just made the off remark, Tina is really Bakersfield's Oprah. And everyone at that table, yeah, that's right. And then I said, we ought to have a talk show with Tina. And yeah, we ought to do it. That was 5 years ago.
5 years ago, yes.
And so things slowly unfolded. And here we are, Tina.
Yes, John.
So I want the world to know you because I really think you've got so much to offer.
Thank you, Don. Let it be known also, too, there's a big difference between Oprah and myself. But, I love Oprah, and I'm not trying to be Oprah because some people had said something about that. No, but I love Oprah. Would love to meet her, too.
Maybe we can make that happen.
Yes.
Now, when we come back, we're going to try to answer the question, or at least we're going to raise the question. Here we sit in the middle of the most productive agricultural county in America, pumping more oil than any county in America. Why do not our educational institutions have programs to support our local industries? We have an expert who's going to really pose that question, and we're going to take that on. So we'll be right back.
Introducing TBC Mobile from the Bakersfield, Californian. The most complete news, sports, weather, video, opinion, and lifestyle coverage in Bakersfield and Kern County. It's the easiest way to stay up to date on all things local while on the go. Read it on your smartphone or tablet. Download now by searching Bakersfield Californian in the Apple, Google, and Amazon app stores. Kern Business Journal contains news and information from local business leaders and organizations. Topics include agriculture, health and medical, energy, real estate, and more. Visit KernBusinessJournal.com to find out how to subscribe or where to pick up a free copy. To inquire about advertising in the bi-monthly Business Journal, call 395-7586. Find us online on Facebook and Twitter, as well as on KernBusinessJournal.com.
Save 50 to 90% with the Bakersfield Californians Daily Deal featured on Bakersfield.com. A daily deal is offered each weekday on services from local restaurants, dry cleaners, health and beauty services, retail shops, and local activities for the entire family. The daily deal is 100% local. Find these amazing deals only at dailydeal.bakersfield.com.
I'm Lisa Kirsch. Coming up next week on Live Well, we will have the latest health, beauty, lifestyle, and community trends for you, including details of the very first Bakersfield Marathon, training, event details. Would you like to volunteer? Plus, the staff of Live Well may be taking part. We'll tell you more about that. Be sure to join us every Wednesday on Bakersfield.com for Live Well.
The Bakersfield Californian is a great read on the iPad, but did you know that the Bakersfield Californian is available on your Kindle Fire? Or how about Google's Nexus 7, the Nook? You bet. You can also read a full replica of the newspaper on your Android-powered smartphone, on Apple's iPhone, or on your laptop. We have a solution for any device. E-Edition is free for subscribers, or just $7.99 a month. The Bakersfield Californian. We're everywhere and anytime. Subscribe today. Bakersfield.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I was tasting this delicious drink that Chuck Noss at Nature's Food Market and Juice Bar always delivers the best. So please visit Chuck Noss at Nature's Food Market and Juice Bar, 1918 G Street here in Bakersfield. Last segment, and before that, you heard me opening up on the spot.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, and glad to do so. But now we're joined by a wonderful guest
Yes,
again.
yes. One of the things we're doing here on Open Up in the course of the hour that we share with you is that we have opened something called Open Forum, and we want to raise important questions and stir the pot,
Yes.
if you will, and see if we can get some things done that maybe have not been done. And so we're very privileged to have with us over these several weeks, and I hope many more, is Ed Davis. Ed is the president of S&E Organic. He is a leading agronomist, a scientist. I mean, he can tell you exactly what's going to grow best in which soil and many, many other things. So, Ed, what I want you to do is get right up on that microphone. And but we have Ed is raising a very important question for our whole region. And go ahead, Ed, fire away, and we'll take it from there.
Well, thank you for having me on again. It's always a fun project to come and do these things. There are so many things that confuse me and perplex me about my hometown here, born and raised here. And today what I would like to talk about is the agricultural community, which I'm a part of, and also the oil industry, which I'm a part of as well, because much of my family worked in the oil fields and continue to do so. The difficulty that we have here with regard to this project thought process is that there are no educational facilities here in the southern San Joaquin Valley, namely Bakersfield College, a junior college, and also Cal State Bakersfield for either one of these two industries. Both of them dance around it, but they don't do a very good job at all of actually educating people so that they are worker ready to simply go into the agricultural community or the oil industry community. The funny side of it is that both of these two educational facilities are constantly looking for financial help emanating from the community, but they don't support the community with regard to the community needs with regard to work-ready people. So that's really what I kind of wanted to go over today, and if there was somehow, some way we could put more pressure on these two college campuses to make sure that they understood that the support of the community will come when they support us.
Ed, have there been serious efforts to try to make them understand this need and this gap that we have in our educational system locally?
No question. There has been quite a few meetings with regard to our efforts from the industry and the agricultural side to Cal State Bakersfield. In fact, there was a forum last year and a couple of dinners that were handled, but nothing ever seems to get done. Basically, from my vantage point, it looks like the college out there is just simply pandering to us, trying to get us to give them possibly financial support from the industry for what may happen somewhere down the road, especially when professionals like myself have offered to actually help with regard to teaching. There are a few people, for example's sake, that have come from the agricultural industry that are in fact teaching like agriculture economics and things like that. But there are no classes out there at all for a person who wants to learn how to farm, or a laboratory that can work with agricultural needs, or other needs like that, post-harvest handling. What's the difference between cilantro and parsley, and how do you produce cotton? And since we have so many thousands and thousands of acres of grapes, the closest real honest-to-goodness viticulture class that handles grapes, which is over 1 million acres here in California, is at Fresno State. And UC Davis also has that. But the reality is that we have here, from the McFarland to the Grapevine, over probably right at 1,500 farms companies. And all of those companies have to send their kids or grandkids out of the area to get an education to Cal Poly or whatever. And it's always fascinated me because Cal State Bakersfield should be the premier ag school in the United States. And it's not even on the map as far as, and it's really tragic because at the same time, again, not to be redundant, but they need financial help. And how are they getting financial help if they're not, in fact, supporting the local industries?
So what do we do, Ed? What's the steps to getting them to get classes to have the...
I really personally don't understand the bureaucratic side of it as to how it's to move forward.
Mhm.
But to reiterate, professionals such as myself have said, how can we help? What can we do? How do you put me in a classroom and teaching kids so they're ready to go out and actually handle agricultural needs?
Mhm.
And the same thing with the oil industry side. It's really a fascinating thing in that Era Energy here in town actually built a building at Cal State Bakersfield, and it says right on it, Era Energy. And Era Energy did that in support of the hopes that they would be actually developing students from Cal State Bakersfield to go to work for Era. And after they have that expense, doesn't take very much effort at all to find that if you have taken all of the oil industry engineering classes that Cal State Bakersfield has, you still fall short of the needs that Era Energy needs with regard to hiring local people here. So all the local people here who start an oil engineering class with hopes of going to work for any of the number of oil industry classes, oil industry companies, they have to go to somewhere like Colorado School of Mines to finish off their degrees so they can come back and work right here in their hometown. And so we see these things constantly. And the two industries, the oil and the agricultural side, constantly have to find people from out of the area who are, in fact, willing to move here and become a Bakersfield person to go to work in Bakersfield when we have so many people who are the families of oil industry and the families of agricultural industry that can't get a local education. It's fascinating.
Ed, can you point to any community college or any university in the state university system that has been responsive to their local industries, that has created special academies or programs that you can point to and say, see, they did it? Anything like that on your radar?
No question. Yeah, 2 hours up the road, Fresno State. Everybody up there is a bulldog. Everybody goes to Fresno State up there. A few people go to Cal Poly, and a few people go to UC Davis on the ag side. But most of the guys up there, and most of the guys from here, they're Fresno State guys. And they early on, when Cal State Bakersfield was first brought into existence, it was sponsored by Fresno State. And Fresno State said, well, you can have any kind of school there you want, just as long as it's not an ag school. But that sponsorship ended many, many years ago. So the unfortunate reality is Cal State Bakersfield has never stepped up to the plate and got a hold of the local talent, if you will, to try to put together an educational system to pick up the slack. So there is a reason why early on Cal State Bakersfield was not an ag school, but that was years and years ago that sponsorship ended, and they've just never done anything in between. Everybody up in the Sacramento Valley, they're all Davis graduates, every one of them. And it's very seldom that you see people up in the Sacramento and Tracy area that are, in fact, in higher management that aren't UC Davis grads. Also the same along the coast with Cal Poly San Luis. I work a lot in Oxnard, and everybody over there, they're all San Luis Obispo graduates. So those communities have always had enormous financial help from the industry and from the people of those communities, just simply because they've dovetailed in the educational needs of that area so that they have just like Bulldog Stadium. I mean, my gosh, it's unbelievable.
Ed, are there many others that think like you and or that are on board that would like to see this happen?
Yeah, no question. No question. There are all kinds of people who have offered to help. I was in a conversation just about a month ago with, again, representatives from the college out there and saying, when am I going to be able to teach a soils class? What are you guys doing? Because our local kids that are born and raised here are still going to Cal Poly, are still going to Davis, still going to Fresno State, Arizona State, on and on and on, just simply because they can't get an education system in place here. How tough would it be?
Yeah,
I don't know enough about it.
There's such an irony here because you go out to Taft High School, and they have pioneered one of the first ever high school level oil tech academies. And their students out there are getting a pretty fair background with, Chris, we're going to stretch this on a bit, a pretty fair background that can get them out into the oil field when they graduate, or certainly qualify them for any advanced studies. It just sounds like an incredible failure of vision and leadership.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. It's something that absolutely has to be addressed because we have the capacity here in the southern end of the San Joaquin Valley to have the greatest ag school and the greatest oil school in America because of what we're surrounded with. We have the oil, we have the very best agriculture there is, we have the smartest minds, because if you're an agriculturalist in California and dealing with the tax and dealing with all the regulations, you're a sharp cookie, and you can go anywhere in the world and farm. And I'm sure the oil industry is exactly the same. And that needs to be propagated, just simply because we have so many people here in our community that are so close to agriculture and so close to the oil industry that are just simply kicked out of the area. And then maybe they'll come back and maybe they won't.
Ed, we're sitting here actually in the studios of the Bakersfield Californian. Have you received any editorial support for this push for these kind of academic facilities or anything in the media that has paid attention to this, that is aware of this, and that's offered any support for that kind of pressure you want to bring on these institutions?
No. Okay. No. There's a lot of rumblings in the industry from a lot of people that I know and people that know other people of the profound importance of it, but nothing in print that I've seen, no media coverage, no absolute industry or local pressure put on the institutions. When I went to Bakersfield College years ago, we had an excellent agricultural program. I took my first 3 soils classes up there. I took 2 insect or entomology classes up there. And I took animal husbandry, and I took all kinds of classes up there, crop production. None of those things are even offered anymore. If they are offered, they really are a very, very elementary type of a presentation that skips around and does a lot of work with regard to trying to educate people in agriculture at BC. So it is nothing like it was. And I think BC just had a fantastic program when I was up there. And I spoke up there a few years back to a class, and the place was, we were the only class there, and all of the other rooms were empty, and it was fascinating. There was nothing going on there. So it's pretty profound what I went through there, and I left there in '72, and what it actually is today, because of one reason after another, they've had to just simply chip away and lose great programs like they had at BC. So it was there, but it's not there now.
Well, Ed, what we so appreciate about you coming on is that we are here to stir the pot, but to do it in an intelligent way about things that really matter, and that's what you do, and we appreciate you being on here.
Oh, thank you.
All right. We're going to be right back, and we've got some good words for the new week for you. I think you'll appreciate it. Be right back.
Introducing TBC Mobile from the Bakersfield Californian. The most complete news, sports, weather, video, opinion, and lifestyle coverage in Bakersfield and Kern County. It's the easiest way to stay up to date on all things local while on the go. Read it on your smartphone or tablet. Download now by searching Bakersfield Californian in the Apple, Google, and Amazon app stores. Kern Business Journal contains news and information from local business leaders and organizations. Topics include agriculture, health and medical, energy, real estate, and more. Visit KernBusinessJournal.com to find out how to subscribe or where to pick up a free copy. To inquire about advertising in the bi-monthly Business Journal, call 395-7586. Find us online on Facebook and Twitter, as well as on KernBusinessJournal.com.
Hi, Corey Costello here, host of Roadrunner Rundown, the official program of CSUB Athletics, Tuesday at 10 a.m. right here on Bakersfield.com. Hey, join us this week. We'll speak with our new men's soccer coach, Richie Grant. Also, a Corey versus back with the track and field team, but this time I try to redeem my inability of throwing the hammer by throwing the discus. Plus, another men's basketball home week against Chicago State and Kansas City. We'll have a fresh Behind Enemy Lines segment as well. Tuesday, 10 a.m. right here on Bakersfield.com.
The Bakersfield Californian is a great read on the iPad, but did you know that the Bakersfield Californian is available on your Kindle Fire? Or how about Google's Nexus 7, the Nook? You bet. You can also read a full replica of the newspaper on your Android-powered smartphone, on Apple's iPhone, or on your laptop. We have a solution for any device. E-Edition is free for subscribers, or just $7.99 a month. The Bakersfield Californian. We're everywhere and anytime. Subscribe today. Bakersfield.com.
Save 50 to 90% with the Bakersfield Californians daily deal featured on Bakersfield.com. A daily deal is offered each weekday on services from local restaurants, dry cleaners, health and beauty services, retail shops, and local activities for the entire family. The daily deal is 100% local. Find these amazing deals only at dailydeal.bakersfield.com.
I'm Lisa Kirsch. Coming up next week on Live Well, we will have the latest health, beauty, lifestyle, and community trends for you, including details of the very first Bakersfield Marathon, training, event details. Would you like to volunteer? Plus, the staff of Live Well may be taking part. We'll tell you more about that. Be sure to join us every Wednesday on Bakersfield.com for Live Well.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Open Up with Don and Tina, and it's time for our good words for the new week. And here to give us the good words is our very own Don Clark.
Well, here's the deal. we really open up, anyway, this good word segment, we invite anyone to come in and share something of encouragement, of inspiration, of gentle challenge, something like that. And not only did our guest not show up, but our good words guy got sick. So it's you and me. It's all on us today. So here's I do have some good words I want to share with you. And so here we go. Tina, as I was driving in from the country today, I pulled up behind a truck, and the sign on the truck, which was obviously a warning for the driver to watch out for overhead electrical lines. Okay. But the sign just said, "Look up and live." Look up and live.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, when we can look up and know that we are really connected to our Creator, that things are good between ourselves and our God, that's great.
Yes, it is.
My favorite theologian is Crocodile Dundee. He and the hoity-toity writer from New York are tramping around the outback, and at some point she asked him, "Do you believe in God?" And Crocodile just does this nonchalant look up in the sky, and he says, "Oh, sure, God and me, we be mates. We be mates. What more do you need,
I know.
God and me, we be mates." So anyway, I wrote this. It's a song that I have no music for, but it was inspired by Jimmy Buffett's progression of thought in Wasting Away in Margaritaville, where he says, "But I know some people say it's a woman to blame, but I know it's nobody's fault." And then the next verse he progresses, "But I know it might be somebody's fault." And then the last one, he says, but I know it's my own damn fault.
Oh.
And so that's kind of the progression. So there are 4 verses to this thing.
Okay.
And let's see if I can remember. Okay, I call it the walking song.
Oh, yes.
The walking song. All right.
Okay.
It goes like this. You know the way you're walking is not the way to go. You know the way you're living is not the way to grow. You know the way you're working just sends you to and fro. So if you want to change it, here's what you need to know. Start walking in God's Spirit. Start living in God's love. Start working in God's power that comes down from above. You say you're tired of walking the straight and narrow way. You say you're growing weary of being good each day. You say it just ain't worth it to stand and not to stray. Well, if that's true for you, here's what I have to say. Keep walking in God's Spirit. Keep living in God's love. Keep working in God's power that comes down from above. You know it isn't wise to walk this way alone. We need to walk together to make sure we don't roam. We all need one another to reach our heavenly home. So here's a bit of wisdom as solid as a stone. Let's all walk in God's Spirit. Let's all live in God's love. Let's all work in God's power that comes down from above. My heart and mind are set. This is the way to go. I've settled in my spirit. This is the way to grow. This is the way I'm choosing on this earth here below. So from this moment on, I want you all to know I'm walking in God's Spirit. I'm living in God's love. I'm working in God's power that comes down from above. Anyway, that's one.
I love it. I love it.
So I had another one come to me, and it was over Christmas. So here's this one. It goes, he pulled in on a Harley, his engine roaring loud. The noise from that machine probably shouldn't be allowed. His tats and biker leather had everybody cowed. He had a hardened look that could terrify a crowd. He'd ridden far that Christmas Eve. He didn't have much cash, but his eyes were drawn to a mangy mutt sitting over by the trash. Something passed between those two that seemed to form a bond. A shaggy dog and a tough ex-con who just did not belong where other dogs and other men could find a happy home. These two unwanted outcasts seemed destined just to roam. The kind of food that biker bought bordered on absurd, but those two sat down, they shared it all, sitting on the curb. When the biker revved that Harley up, that dog hopped on that bike, and off they rode together in the cold December night. I knew that I had witnessed a very special scene, a most unlikely friendship that would make the angels sing. And for me, that memory through the years has always stood the test of the spirit of the season and Christmas at its best.
Don, that's amazing. I love it. And, you know, it sounds like it should be a book or a movie or something.
Well, see if we can find some. I got one more if we can squeeze
Yes,
it in.
I think we can.
All right. I always had my boss here, his favorite thing to do was to find the greasiest place in town, take you there to eat. And when you walk in the door, he said, the food here tastes like crap. You'll love it. So, but anyway, he took me to a place. So this is called the Ballad of Billy Bob's Belly Buster.
Oh, yes.
If I can remember. All right.
Okay.
Let's see. How's this go? Even in its heyday, it was just a tiny shack. It was hard enough to get there, even harder to get back. In a rundown part of town that the cops would drive on past, it sat there in the shadow of a nearby overpass. They called it Billy Bob's, just a counter and some stools, but they served the belly buster, and they served it up for fools who were dumb enough to tackle a burger all that big. Piled high with, let's see, burger all that big. To eat the whole damn thing, you had to be half pig. Piled high with juicy patties and triple slabs of cheese served by an ornery waitress. I think it was Louise, who talked of revolution and the coming of the day you could use the drugs you want. Feds wouldn't have a say. The cook, he was a biker with one leg in a cast, but he could take a dozen orders and he could turn them out real fast. One would last you for the day, never needed nothing else. All the rest couldn't hold a candle. All the rest not even close. The address I recall was along Kentucky Street, not the kind of place where the uppity would eat, but the Belly Buster Burger was famed in Bakersfield as the best place in the valley to enjoy a redneck meal. One night the place caught fire. I suspect it was the grease from all those Belly Busters that we rednecks love to eat. Billy Bob's is gone now. It's just an empty lot. But when it comes to burgers, it will never be forgot that the Belly Buster Burger was at the very top. So those are my words.
Folks, what talent, huh?
I hope it gives you a smile for the week. So.
Yeah, that was excellent, Don. I mean, and just to think, you through your daily activity, you see things that come to you. Is that
Yeah.
okay? So that's how it comes. Just
That one came as I was sitting in the dental chair listening to country music, and I thought I can write a song to Billy Bob. So,
oh wow.
anyway,
Okay.
folks, thanks for being with us. We held down the fort
Yes.
when everyone abandoned us. So
Yes.
here we go. And
We're still
maybe
here,
We're
Don.
still on the ship. All right.
Yes. So thank you all for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you next time.
God bless.